The doorbell's ring shattered the silence of my apartment at 3 a.m. Through the peephole, I saw my sister Rachel, her face half hidden in shadow. When I opened the door, time seemed to stop. Her right eye was swollen shut, a purple-blue map spreading across her cheekbone. Behind her, my niece Olivia sat trembling in her wheelchair, clutching a backpack with cartoon unicorns. Snow melted from their clothes onto my welcome mat. "We didn't know where else to go," Rachel whispered, her voice cracking. "I remembered your address from the Christmas card you sent us." My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from my mother. "Don't you dare take them in. Martin says they stole from us. Police are involved." The lie hit me like a physical blow. I looked at Olivia's face, eyes wide with fear, a child who couldn't run from danger, and something crystallized inside me. The perfect family image I desperately maintained for years shattered completely. My name is Nicole. I'm 34, and I'm a software developer. This is the story of how I broke the chains that nearly strangled the people I love most. "Get inside," I said, stepping back to make room for Olivia's wheelchair. "You're safe now." Rachel flinched at the word safe like it was a language she'd forgotten. She limped across the threshold, one arm protectively around Olivia's shoulders. Under the hallway light, I saw what the darkness had hidden, a cut along her jawline, still oozing blood, and finger-shaped bruises circling her wrists. "Did Martin do this?" I asked, though I already knew. My stepfather's rage had been a family secret for too long. Rachel nodded slightly, eyes downcast. "Mom watched." She didn't stop him. She told us to get out when I couldn't give them Liv's disability check. Her disability check? My voice sounded strange even to my own ears. "They've been taking it for months. Mom said they needed it for house repairs." Rachel's voice dropped to a whisper. "Last week I saw cruise tickets on their counter." My mind flashed to all the emergencies over the past 2 years. The broken furnace, the medical bills, the roof repairs. Thousands of dollars I'd sent without question, all while they'd been draining my disabled niece's support funds. That night, I set Rachel and Olivia up in my spare bedroom. After they fell asleep, I sat at my kitchen table, scrolling through emergency housing options and legal resources. Rachel's phone, plugged in beside me, lit up with a notification, a voicemail. I shouldn't have listened to it. But something, instinct maybe, made me press play. My mother's voice filled the kitchen, cold and unfamiliar. "If you embarrass me in front of Martin again, I swear I'll make you both disappear. That crippled brat better stay quiet too. We know people at social services who can take her away with one phone call." The mug in my hand crashed to the floor, not just theft and assault, but threats against a child, my niece, my blood. I replayed the message, this time recording it on my own phone. Evidence. The first weapon in a war I hadn't planned but couldn't avoid. 3 days passed in a fog of phone calls and paperwork. Rachel's bruises darkened to ugly yellow-green patches, while Olivia jumped at every sound. They were healing, physically at least, when the doorbell rang again. Martin stood on my porch, holding a bouquet of supermarket flowers like a peace offering. Behind him, my mother waited in their luxury SUV, engine running. They must have gotten my address from family records they kept at their house. "Nicole," he said, voice honey-sweet, "we've come to take the girls home. There's been a misunderstanding." I stepped onto the porch, closing the door behind me. "A misunderstanding? Rachel has a concussion. Olivia had frostbite on her fingers." "Your sister is unstable," he said, smile never wavering. "She attacked me first. Ask your mother. We just want what's best for the child." "What's best? Like stealing her disability checks for your Caribbean cruise?" His smile faltered. "You always were the troublemaker. We took care of them for years. We deserve compensation." "Compensation?" The word burned in my throat. "From a disabled child?" "Listen carefully." Martin leaned closer, dropping his voice. "I'm still on the lease for their apartment. I can report them as runaways, or worse, report you for kidnapping. How would that look for your fancy tech job?" I stepped back, pulling out my phone. "Then maybe practice saying that to the police." I pressed record, holding the screen where he could see it. Tell them how you beat my sister unconscious. Tell them how you threw a disabled child into a blizzard. Tell them how you stole federal benefits from a minor." His face contorted. "You think you're so smart. You've always thought you were better than us." "No, Martin, I just finally see you clearly." He stormed back to the SUV. My mother never looked at me, never got out of the car. They drove away, but I knew it wasn't over. 2 weeks later, I sat in a courthouse conference room with Rachel and our lawyer, Diane, whom we'd found through a legal aid service specializing in family abuse cases. Across the table, my mother and Martin filed an emergency petition for custody of Olivia, claiming Rachel was unfit and I was harboring a child against court orders. "They're painting you as unstable," Diane explained, reviewing their filing, "and they're claiming Olivia needs specialized care they can provide." Rachel's hands trembled. "They'll win, won't they? They always do." "Not today," I said, sliding a USB drive to Diane. "This contains 3 pieces of evidence. First, the voicemail with my mother threatening to make them disappear. Second, bank records showing Martin depositing Olivia's disability checks into their personal account for the past 8 months, which I obtained through a subpoena request you filed last week. Third, medical records from the night I took them in." The hearing began with the judge's stern face reviewing the filings. Martin sat with perfect posture, my mother beside him in her church clothes, both the picture of concerned guardians. "Your Honor," their lawyer began, "my clients have provided a stable home for years. Ms. Rachel Jenkins has a history of instability and recently abandoned their home without notice, taking a vulnerable child into inadequate living conditions." The judge turned to our table. "Ms. Jenkins, how do you respond to these allegations?" Rachel looked frozen, so I squeezed her hand and stood. "Your Honor, may I speak on my sister's behalf?" The judge nodded. "My sister didn't abandon their home. She was thrown out with her disabled daughter after being physically assaulted by my stepfather. We have evidence to present." "Objection!" Their lawyer jumped up. "These are baseless accusations." The judge raised a hand. "I'll hear the evidence." Diane played the voicemail, its threats echoing through the silent courtroom, my mother's face drained of color as her own voice betrayed her. "This recording was made without consent," their lawyer protested. "Single-party consent is legal in this state," Diane replied smoothly, "and we have more." The bank records appeared on the projection screen. 8 months of Olivia's disability checks deposited directly into my mother and Martin's personal account. "These funds are meant for Olivia's care," Diane explained. "Instead, they were used for a Caribbean cruise, luxury purchases, and spa treatments." The courtroom stirred. Martin leaned forward, whispering furiously to their lawyer. "And finally," Diane continued, "medical reports from the night Ms. Jenkins and her daughter arrived at Nicole's apartment, documenting multiple contusions, a mild concussion, and early-stage frostbite." The judge reviewed the evidence silently, her expression unreadable. Then she looked directly at my mother. "Mrs. Whitmore, would you like to respond to these allegations?" My mother stood, smoothing her skirt. "Your Honor, we've always provided for Rachel and Olivia. We may have been strict at times, but everything we did was for their benefit." "For their benefit?" The words burst from Martin before his lawyer could stop him. "Do you know how much it costs to raise a child with a disability? The appointments, the equipment, the special foods. That money was compensation for our sacrifices." The courtroom fell silent. The judge's pen paused mid-note. "Mr. Whitmore," she said quietly, "are you admitting to using the child's disability benefits for your personal expenses?" Martin's lawyer tried to intervene, but it was too late. Martin's face flushed red. "We deserved every penny for putting up with them." The judge's gavel came down with finality. "Emergency petition denied. I'm ordering an immediate investigation into the misappropriation of disability benefits and possible criminal charges for assault and child endangerment. Temporary custody of Olivia Jenkins is awarded to her mother, with supervised visitation for grandparents at the court's discretion." As the courtroom emptied, my mother caught my arm. Her perfectly manicured nails dug into my skin. You've destroyed this family?" she hissed. I looked into the eyes that had watched violence without flinching. "No, Mom, you did that yourself." 3 months later, I sat on the porch of the small house Rachel, Olivia, and I now shared. After the court case, we pooled our resources and I used my savings for a down payment on this accessible home. The spring air carried the scent of new beginnings as Rachel brought out lemonade, her movements no longer guarded, her smile reaching her eyes. Olivia wheeled herself onto the porch ramp we'd built together, proudly showing me her latest drawing, 3 stick figures in front of a house labeled "My Family." "Do you think it's over?" Rachel asked quietly, watching Olivia color. I thought about the restraining order against Martin, the ongoing investigation into the stolen benefits, the family therapy sessions that were slowly helping us rebuild. "Not completely," I answered honestly, "but we're writing a new story now." Inside, my phone buzzed with an email notification. The court had granted our petition for restitution. Martin and my mother would have to repay every dollar they'd taken from Olivia, with interest. The divorce between my mother and Martin had been finalized last week, another casualty of the stress from the investigation and court proceedings. Justice didn't arrive with sirens and handcuffs. It came in paperwork and court orders, in quiet evenings without fear, in a child's drawing where home meant safety instead of survival. As the sun set, painting the sky in gold and pink, I watched Olivia laugh at a squirrel darting across our yard. The broken pieces we'd been were slowly forming something new. Not perfect, but strong in the places that had been shattered. Healing doesn't look like winning. It looks like showing up day after day until the people you love no longer flinch at sudden movements. It looks like small victories and quiet mornings. It looks like us, 3 survivors finding our way home. Before you go, here's a quick bonus for sticking around. If you love learning and growing like I do, you need to try audiobooks. I've got an exclusive deal with Audible. Your first month is completely free. That's access to over 500,000 titles. 0 cost to you. All the details are waiting in the description. Don't miss this one.